Welcome back to my channel. It's time for a minute with mom. I want to talk to you guys today about investing in you. Yep, you heard me. Investing in you. All right, so I haven't really formatted this video. This is one of those moments where it's literally off the dome. Not really so much off the dome, but in terms of I didn't prepare any notes. I didn't do what I normally do for videos like this. Why? Because this is real time. This is something, what I'm about to share is something that I'm actually processing right now in the moment today. And I wanted to share it with you all because I feel like there's a message here for not just myself, but for those of you who are subscribed to my channel and for anyone who comes across this video. So I want you to get the very real, raw moment of the whole topic is what I'm trying to say. So let's dive into investing in you. How did I even end up here? Okay, so I don't know what your process is, but oftentimes the way God speaks to me is usually he speaks to me in moments of solitude, whether it be journaling. A lot of times I'm in the shower and I'm just kind of processing my thoughts and talking to God or thinking about a specific thing. And suddenly I start to hear from the Lord. And that's exactly what happened today. As I was getting ready for the day, I was really just kind of thinking, reflecting. It's a moment of reflection in that I have a friend who is starting a new venture and I wanted to be a blessing to the friend. And so I really wanted to do something to just show that I'm invested in what this friend is doing. And so I, started making the moves to do that. And as I was doing it, I kind of had to pull myself back a little bit and really question myself. Why am I doing this? Why am I so invested in what my friend is doing? And I really had to get to the nuts and bolts of what's the motive behind my action. And there's nothing wrong with supporting people. I think that, why else would I have started this whole segment here on my channel? I think supporting people is a very needed thing in this day and age. We need to have a sense of community. We need to know that there are people rooting for us. We need to know that there are people who can get behind the things that we venture out to do and know that we have their support, we have their prayers, and they're just in our corner. They're there. They're our cheerleaders. We need that. Every one of us in our lives needs that. However, if you're someone like me that's coming from a people-pleasing background, we have to be very careful when we are offering ourselves in that way. I'm only going to speak about me because I'm an expert on me. I don't know about anybody else. I can only speak from my personal experiences. But for me, anytime that I begin to get invested in what somebody else is doing, I always have to kind of pull myself back a little bit and ask the question, what's the motive? Why am I doing this? Is this my people-pleasing tendency showing up, or is this a genuine desire to just be supportive and invest in someone that I believe in? And if you're like that, I would highly encourage you to really pause in those moments, because as a people pleaser, when you grow up in an environment where you have to people please, as you get older, people pleasing becomes second skin to you. You just jump right into it. A lot of times you don't even realize that you're doing it. The danger in that is when you don't realize that you're doing it and you just move into people pleasing. On the back end of it, it might feel good in the moment. And this is real talk here. It might feel amazing in the moment. But on the back end, there's always that sense of like a deflated feeling. It's almost like you've poured yourself out empty. And then on the back end of it, especially when it's not reciprocated, you feel so done. You feel like, oh my gosh, I just gave away everything that I have, and now there's nothing left for myself. I just poured all of myself into this project or this person or whatever the thing is that you're pouring yourself into. And then when it's all said and done, you walk away when you should be feeling a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment in that you helped somebody do something. Oftentimes, it's been my experience on the back end of fulfilling a need that I wasn't asked to fulfill, but because I'm doing it out of my people-pleasing tendency, there's an emptiness behind that follows very quickly there and after. And so I have to be very, very careful, because I am naturally a nurturing person and I do like to help people. I'm naturally that way. But also because of my childhood trauma and the environment that I grew up in, people pleasing it takes on a whole life of itself. So I always have to be careful when I see myself chomping at the bit to help someone. And that instance led me to a whole other revelation today about myself. And what it led me to was this question of, how come I don't invest in myself with the same tenacity, with the same what's the word I'm looking for? With the same fervor as I would with somebody else? How come I'm not able to invest in myself as much as I invest in others? And I really had to be honest with myself and take a moment and answer that question honestly. Why am I not investing in myself in that manner? And the answer that came very quickly to me, and I knew that it was the truth. I knew it because I just knew. It's like when you know something about yourself. And I am a very self-reflective person by nature. But when I ask myself certain questions and the answer just comes just like that, it's sometimes it's very sobering. And sometimes I don't always want to accept that is the truth, even though I know it is the truth. And it's painful at times. This one wasn't so painful as it was telling about me in terms of where I am and how I see myself. And so when I ask myself, why don't I invest in myself with this and match the same enthusiasm and the same intentionality that I do for others with myself, I realized very quickly the answer was because I can see the value in others most times before I can see the value in myself. And if I had come to this conclusion maybe 2 or 3 years ago, that probably would have took me out. Like I probably would have been crying and just be a hot mess, and I wouldn't be able to even talk to you all about this on camera or anything. Like I wouldn't want to admit that out loud 2 or 3 years ago. However, I am in process, and I have been really trying to work and unravel my own knots, my own isms, my own issues, and accepting certain truths about myself and being able to speak them out loud and not feel shame about it and not feel like I'm wrong for being this way, but just coming to the appreciation and the understanding that this is a part of my makeup, but it's also something that I am in control of and that I can change and that I can, make it be something else if I so desire. And so when I realized that moment that I don't see my own value, and I wonder how many of you are possibly sharing in that same sentiment, in that you can see the value in what other people are doing, but you have a hard time seeing the value in the things and the desires and the dreams that you have. And so because you're unable to see the value in yourself, you don't necessarily make the investment in yourself. You're happy to invest in other people, but you're not going to make the investment in yourself. And if you do make an investment in yourself, it won't be to the degree, that's the word that I was looking for. It won't be to the degree that you would invest in other people. I hope that that makes sense to you. So that's something that I realized about myself today. And, you know, I'm still not sure. I don't feel sad about it. I think more than anything, I'm glad that I have the awareness now, because now that I have the awareness, that means I can do something about it. I don't have to function in life with this mindset, this mentality in that I can't see the value in myself. So then my next natural question is, okay, how do we repair that? How do I need to start seeing the value in myself so that I am willing to make the investment in myself? And for me, one of the areas, so this is going to be like an all-encompassing thing. There's like no one area. It's many areas. It's like a conglomerate of many different things wrapped into the one entity, which is me, right? And so I realize part of me seeing my value is that I have to put myself first. I have to take care of me first. Everybody knows the analogy, the airplane analogy. Everybody knows it. You know, you're on the airplane and the plane is going down. They tell you to put your mask on you first before you put it on anybody else. Why? Because if you're trying to put the mask on everybody else before putting it on yourself, you're going to pass out. You're going to be the one that is not getting the benefit of the oxygen. Same principle here. I have to start putting me first. I have to start making an investment in Tamara. And for me, that looks like cleaning up my diet. And I don't even like the word diet, but for the lack of, I guess it's appropriate in this sense, in that what I eat, okay? So this is going to be a long video, just so you know. You might want to get a cup of tea or some coffee or something. We're going to be here a minute. So for me, I became an emotional eater at a very young age due to the trauma that I had experienced growing up. I didn't know that I was emotional eating. I didn't know that I had trauma. I just knew that I was lonely. I was crying a lot, and food made me feel better. And so we ate and we ate and we ate and we ate and we ate ourselves into this state, okay? And over the years, I have been slowly uncovering and confronting my issues with food and connecting the dots between the food and the trauma, the childhood trauma, and the things that I've experienced over the years in my life, and really trying to untangle that massive knot. And it is very exhausting and taxing and frustrating, because there are times when I know what to do, but I don't necessarily know how to execute it. And so having to walk through that process has been not fun, but I'm learning to give myself grace as I uncover and discover things about myself that I didn't even know were there, or as I'm connecting the dots, I'm finding more grace for myself. And this whole investing in myself aha moment is one of those moments where I'm like, okay, instead of beating ourselves up about, not doing it right, we're going to give ourselves some grace. We're going to acknowledge it. We're going to have the awareness, but now we have to create a plan. And so what is my plan? My plan is that I need to invest in me. And for me, what that looks like is eating better, making sure that I go to bed at a decent time. And all of these things sound very basic, but they make a huge impact when you're finally able to really connect the dots and see that pattern of behavior that you had before, and creating a new pattern, creating a new routine for myself. And I'm realizing just now today, I have always had an aversion to working out. I have always had a resentment, really. It's more of a resentment than it is an aversion to working out and diet and exercise and nutrition and all of those things. I know that they were necessary. I know that they are necessary, but there's a part of me that resents the fact that I seem to have to work extra hard of that. Part of that is genetics. And the other part of it, as I said, is learned behavior that I have adopted throughout these years and coping in the wrong way, in unhealthy ways. And so now I am left with a mountain, what feels like a mountain to me. And some of you might be like, girl, that ain't nothing, no thing but a chicken wing. Yeah, for you. But for people like me, it's a lot. Because working out and nutrition and exercising, that's not something that comes as naturally to me as it may to other people, right? And so it's a process for me. I don't get up in the morning thinking to myself, yeah, I want to go walk on the treadmill, or I want to go do this and have the enthusiasm to go actually do it. I'm like rolling my eyes. I am making excuses. I am finding every reason why not to go do something, because of how it was presented to me growing up. And so growing up, I was fat shamed as a child by my own family. I was compared to my friends. Like, my grandmother literally stood me up beside my friend who was smaller frame, smaller body, smaller everything. And she literally compared my body to hers and asked me at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, why can't I be thin like so-and-so? Why are you not thin like so-and-so? So my whole life, I've lived with being compared to other people. Now, I want to say here that this is something that happens within the Black community. This is also something that happens within the Caribbean community. This happens in community. Why don't we just say that? It doesn't have to be any one specific community, but I happen to come from the Caribbean community, right? I come from a West Indian family, and it's not uncommon for your relatives to fat shame you. And the premise is, if I shame you about the way that you look, then you'll change it. The problem with that is it does not make us want to change it. As a matter of fact, for me, because I said I'm only going to speak about me, what it did was make me go, well, I'm not changing it. I'm going to be this how I'm going to be. I'm going to be this way. If I know that it irritates you, I'm going to be this way on purpose, just because I know that it irritates you, because you're not going to tell me what to do with myself. The only problem with that is we're suffering. We're the only ones suffering. I'm the only one. I say we as if I'm several different people. Sometimes I feel like I am, but I'm not. I'm the only one that's suffering from that. But my resistance to what was being said and spoken over me was such a visceral response that I didn't realize that it was actually creating a self-sabotaging tendency, and that I just wouldn't do anything. I became very apathetic towards diet and exercise. And so the more I dug my heels in, the more family dug their heels in. And so the measures that were taken with me at the age of 13 was, I'm walked into a doctor's quick weight loss center, and I'm given this piece of paper that tells me all the foods that I cannot have, which were all the stuff that any 13-year-old girl would be wanting to eat: chips, cookies, cakes, donuts, all of the fun things that you see at the school cafeteria. I couldn't eat those things. I had to eat what was on the back of the paper, which was rice cakes and dried tuna and beets and green beans and all of this diet food that I just was like, who wants to eat that? Nobody wants to eat that. I certainly did not want to eat that. And I was forced to have to eat that way in order to feel accepted by society, accepted by my family, accepted by everyone who came across me. Now, the truth be told is, when I go back and look back at my childhood pictures, all I see in those pictures is a beautiful 13-year-old girl that has not fully developed yet. But I was being told at that age how fat I was, how unacceptable my body was. And so, why am I telling you all of this? Not so that you can feel sorry for me. No, because I don't need your pity. I just need you to understand my pathology and how I'm ending up at this place today with the discovery that I'm making today. But by no means am I saying feel sorry for me, because I've already worked through all of the painful aspects of those things, and they are painful and they are damaging, and they did leave an impression on me that I'm now having to undo. But I couldn't undo all of it without understanding what it did to me up here. It's one thing to be able to change my body physically, which I have been in and out of that throughout my life. I have gained and lost considerable amounts of weight, but I was never able to sustain the weight loss. Why? Because in my mind, those words that were spoken over me, those comparisons that were constantly being made about my body, the messages that I was being flooded with at an early age that really shaped a lot of my identity, it siphoned my ability to see my value, because then I was reduced down to a number on a scale or the size of my clothes. That for me only made me resent myself even more, because they were telling me everything that was wrong with me. They were forcing me to do certain things to fix the problem without really explaining to me how your body works, how to do that, and the importance of good nutrition and exercise. So all of the things that they thought were helpful to me were actually harming me. All of the things that they thought were good for me, I resented them. And so as I grew up and I came into adulthood, and I now had the choice to decide whether I wanted to do those things or not, it was all on my terms. But the only problem with that is I still have the negative messages on replay in my mind. So when I'm standing in the mirror in the store and I'm looking at the outfit, the first thing that I see, instead of appreciating if the outfit looked good on me or not, I'm checking all the areas that were under ridicule as a child. I'm looking at those areas first. I'm trying to hide. I'm trying to conceal. I'm trying to cover up all of the things about me that I think. I'm trying to anticipate, what is somebody going to say about me in this outfit? What is my family going to point out to me that I didn't already see myself? Oh, this part of you is too big, or that part of you is too fleshy, or look at this, or look at that, and so that became my normal place. And living like that for your whole existence it's hurtful. But for me, I think the pain of it, I got used to it. I think I got used to the pain of hearing those things. And unfortunately for me, I picked up where they left off. And so what does that mean? I didn't need them to tell me how undesirable I look. I would just make it known myself. I began to be very self-deprecating, very talking down on myself. Somebody would pay me a compliment and say, "Oh, you look pretty today." And I'd be like, "Oh, for a fat girl." Or, my husband would say, "Oh, you're beautiful." And it's, "Oh, for a fat girl." Because I'm trying to kind of buffer myself from the anticipation of the dig. There's always the rub, the salt in the wound. So my mode of thinking was, if I can beat you to the punch and say it before you, then I could take that blow a little easier if I just say it for you. Again, not healthy. Did not get me anywhere but stuck, okay? And so this morning, as I was getting ready, and and I'm in the shower and I'm asking myself this hard question of, why am I not able to invest in myself? And I hear that still small voice tell me it's because you don't know your value. You didn't know your value. The thing of it is that it's the truth. I didn't know my value. I am just now discovering my value at 46 years old. I'm just now understanding my value and that I have value. And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's something that I rejoice over. Because why? Because I have the awareness now. I know what is the lie, which is that I didn't have value, and what is the truth, which is that I absolutely do have value. And for me, that's power. I feel like I'm getting my power back. I feel like God is saying to me, look, I know what you thought you knew about yourself. I know what you thought was the truth about who you are, but that was actually a lie. That was not the truth. I'm going to show you who you are. I'm going to tell you who you are. You were created in my image. You were created. I created you. I numbered the hairs on your head. You were fearfully and beautifully made. I sent my son to die for you. That's how much value that you have, that I would send my only son to die for you. So how could you look at this creation and think that there's no value in it? I could not sit on that truth bomb all by myself and not share it with you in real time as I'm uncovering and discovering it myself, because I cannot be the only one that is having a moment like that. I cannot be the only one that's just now coming into that revelation. God bless those of you who've already known it, but I'm speaking to the individual who's just now realizing, or maybe you're hearing me talk about it for the first time and there's a light bulb going on inside of you saying, wait, I have value. I'm here to tell you, yes, you have value. You have value, and it is absolutely okay. As a matter of fact, it's absolutely necessary that you and I start investing in ourselves. Why? Because we have value. Because God didn't just put us on this earth for no reason. God didn't just drop us here on this earth for him not to accomplish his will through us. He's given us a specific destiny, a specific call is placed on our lives. But what the enemy does is he takes all of those childhood experiences that I talked about earlier, all of those negative experiences, and he force feeds you a false narrative. And if he could have me believing for the rest of my life that I have no value, that I'm not worth my own investment, then he's won. But thank God that I'm able to hear from the Lord, that even though everything is not perfect, and if you're thinking everything needs to be perfect before you get to that moment of aha, before you get to that moment of taking action, that's also a lie, because you got to start somewhere. I have a lot of weight to lose. It's not going to go anywhere overnight. It didn't take overnight to come on. It feels like it sometimes, but it's going to take me some time to work through this process. And as I'm seeing it right now, the timing is not a factor for me. What's more important to me is that I start making the investment today. What's more important is that I see that I am worth the investment. I'm worth the 20 minutes, the 30 minutes. It's not a punishment. Like, I really had to sit down with myself and get raw and realize, okay, I've been feeding on this lie. I've been feasting on this lie my whole life. Oh, you have to work out because you're fat. No. Oh my God, no. I have to work out because it's good for my body. Yes. I have to work out because I deserve to feel good in my body. Yes. I have to work out because I deserve to like what I see looking back at me in the mirror. Yes. I have to work out because it's something that I want to do. I want to make that investment in myself so that I can feel comfortable, so that I can move freely, so that I can do the things that I've been wanting to do, but I'm afraid to do because here's one. I stopped riding roller coasters. Why? Because I don't want to get to the front of the line and I can't fit in the roller coaster, and then have to walk back in front of all of those people who are already buckled in and sit down and wait. I don't want to sit on the sideline while my kids are enjoying a roller coaster ride, but I can't because I don't know if I'm going to fit in it or not. I'm tired of that. I deserve to be able to go to an amusement park and sit in a ride and fit without any wondering if I'm going to fit. Because I deserve that. Because I'm worth it. Because I don't believe that God would have me live a life with limitations like that, especially not to that degree. So, yeah, it's an investment. Eating right and not eating my feelings and finding a way to deal with my feelings that does not involve food. I'm worth that. I am worth that. I deserve that. But guess what? I'm the only one who can give that to myself. So why would I continue to rob myself? Why would I continue to cheat myself out of that fulfillment and that peace and that joy in knowing that the 20 minutes that I invest in doing the workout, the 30 minutes, the whatever the time is, whatever. Why would I cheat myself of those moments? Why would I continue to cheat myself of those moments? I'm done. I'm done with it. Because I deserve better. And I can't wait for somebody else outside of me to tell me that I'm worth it. And you know what the truth is? 1 million people could line up at my door right now and tell me, oh, Tamara, you deserve this. You deserve this. You're worthy of it. You have value. You deserve to have that. And none of it would make a difference in my life. Why? Because they're not me. It has to come from me. I have to be the one. I have to be my own advocate. I have to put myself first. I want to share that with you too. If you're listening to this video, if you're in this moment with me, if you're right with me and you hear me and you feel what I'm saying to you, I'm telling you, it can't come from anybody else but you. You have to know your own value. You have to know that you deserve it. You have to know that you are worth it. Nobody else is going to give that to you. You can try program after program, gym after gym. If you don't get to that place of knowing and understanding your own value and knowing that you are worth the investment, nobody else can give you that. And that is my prayer for you today as you're listening to this. If you're not there yet, don't feel bad about that. It just means that you're not there yet. But if you desire to be there, that's where you start. We're not all going to start off of the same block. Some of us grew up in healthy environments and we got that message early. Some of us had to figure that out on our own. Some of us, like myself, are just now coming to that understanding. And it's okay. You want to know why it's okay? Because they're not running your race. Only you can run your race. Only you can run your race. So what does it profit to be looking over at what the next person is doing? That's not your lane. I can't be worried about what sister so-and-so over here is doing. And oh, look, she lost hers already. That's not my lane. My lane is right now where I'm at. My time is right now where it is. So whenever you have that epiphany, whenever you have that moment of reckoning with yourself, you're right where you're supposed to be. And I also want to say to the haters, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all, because it's not helping. It's not. Just be quiet and let people figure out and come to their own conclusions. Most of the time, they already know before you need to say anything. So sometimes you just need to close your mouth and be quiet about it. And if you're that concerned, pray for them. But don't judge, don't shame, don't ridicule, because you don't know. Don't make assumptions about what you think you know about somebody based on how they look or how they show up in the world. You don't know. And if you can't say anything good, say nothing. Nothing is good. Just really want to drive home the point. Make the investment in yourself because you're worth it. Take the time, take the step. You know what I'm going to tell you. Stay sweet, stay beautiful. And remember, there's always time for a minute with mom. I love you. And until the next one, thanks for watching.